A new TV season is about to begin right here on Channel 2 at 6:30 Monday through Friday evenings. Will air The List. It includes some very familiar faces. 2 News anchor Russ McCaskey sits down with Jason Shackelford to find out more about the new show and his new role.
For years, Jason Shackelford has been the 2 News Sports weekend anchor and reporter, but you have a new job now. Let's talk a little bit about that,
I do have a new job. I wasn't punted totally out of the building, just down the hall. We are starting a new show that premieres September 17th. Called The List.
It's going to be on at 6:30 right here on Channel 2.
6:30 to 7 o'clock in what we call the access time period. And 3 former Channel 2 employees are all a part of it. Myself, Erin Christie, who you might remember from Morning Show and Weekend Mornings. She's a producer, and photographer Randy Lane, and we're having an absolute blast.
You know, the E.W. Scripps Company is a more than 100-year-old journalism company. It started out in newspapers and so forth, eventually into TV, and now getting into some programming. So there's a lot of excitement about this because they're producing a number of shows, this being one of them.
It is. The other show is going to be called Let's Ask America. It's going to be a game show that airs earlier in the day. But it is. It's a bit of a risk for Scripps Howard, but they are putting the resources and the people in place to make it a success.
Let's talk about some of the stories that you guys are going to be doing, because I know you've already been out shooting some of them. One of them was the noodling story that you did. And I've already seen that one. Absolutely fantastic. Initially, you weren't going to get in the water and noodle, but you did.
Well, when the powers that be say it's time to get in and put your hand in a fish's mouth, you get in and put your hand in a fish's mouth. That was the one thing I said I wouldn't do, but one phone call persuaded me the other direction, and I am now a noodler.
So what kind of stories are you doing, and what can people, the kind of content people can expect from The List?
Our objective is to, first and foremost, entertain and inform. So we want to send people, after they watch the 6 o'clock news on Channel 2, we want them to get ready for kind of the evening and kind of make that transition from information to the entertainment. And that's kind of the whole idea of this show. But we want to give people a feel-good story, kind of give them some of the hot topics of the day, but a little bit of a humor twist to it.
Right. And so you're starting out in 6 markets, and eventually the theory is that it could expand to a whole lot more, and maybe eventually every television market in the country.
Well, that's ultimately the goal. We believe next year there's a chance that, you know, we could pick up 6 more markets across the country. Scripps Howard, I believe, owns 19 stations across the country, and you know it's a start right now with 6, but the sky's the limit.
So this is a bit of an experiment. It's kind of morphing, you know, almost day to day, but you have some general ideas. Tell us about the principle, the name of The List.
Well, the idea of The List, everybody makes a list, whether you go to the supermarket, when you wake up in the morning, what are my lists of things to do? People love lists. We all make them, and this show is basically, we're going to give you top reasons to do a lot of things, and the top things people are talking about at the water cooler at work. Things you need to know, some pop culture stuff, some, you know, just everyday run-of-the-mill great feature stories. Everybody's out there. They've got a story, and it's a great story to tell. We're just going to try to tell those stories in maybe a different way than, say, the evening news would.
And one of the things that you've done for so many years here at Channel 2 are those kinds of feature stories, whether it was getting on freewheel and you're riding the bike and you're telling all those great stories of the people who participate in that. It's kind of a natural fit for you. But let's talk a little bit about the talent that's involved in this, because there's some really important people from around the country from television who are involved in this program.
Right. Even the writers they have assembled aren't your everyday TV news writers. Dave Hansen, I believe, wrote for 8 or 9 years for one of the, I think it was Jay Leno. And when you talk to this guy, you hear the humor come out immediately. And it's not anything that I've ever been around in television news where everything's serious and it's just the facts. We really get to put the humor into it. Teresa Strasser is the host. She's been on such shows as While You Were Out on TLC. Hilarious lady. I mean, just being in the room with her for 5 minutes, you really get the funny from her.
And the executive producer of Entertainment Tonight helped heading it up.
Rick Joyce. I think he spent 8 years at Entertainment Tonight. So they've been around a whole different avenue of television that I've never been a part of, and it's really been exciting to see how it evolves and how it, you know, comes about, and it's exciting to see where it's going.
September 17th, 6:30, right here on Channel 2.
Right here on Channel 2, right after you.
Right after the news. All right, Shaq, thanks. Good luck with it.
You bet.